Go. Have I not been talking this whole time? It's been 11 minutes. I've been speaking for 11 minutes and nobody has said anything. Who said this? Who said this is... Easy Toga Trash, thank you. Thank you very much. I've been talking for 10 straight minutes. 10 straight minutes and I didn't even notice. I appreciate it. Oh my god. Either way, so here we are now. Finally. So you guys are good. You guys can hear me. We're doing anything fine. Okay, let me read some of the topics. That's probably why like people are just dipping in and out. I was so confused of like I was answering stuff but nobody was saying anything. So let me actually read some of these now. Appreciate the people that hung around. I appreciate the guy who brought up that he couldn't hear me. Thanks to the previous people. You think after like 2 or 3 minutes, that's usually what I expect. Like, hey, your mic's not on. Oh, okay, sorry. And then it's just like 10 minutes. Hey, oh, well, okay, thanks. Anyway, let me get to some of these comments. It's been like three lives, and now I'm back. What's up, Ashidur? How's it going? 3 months since Iron Nancy disappeared. I answered that. I don't think he's dead. Like, I don't think Iron Nancy's dead because like maybe he's probably just had something going on in real life. Because I've had similar situations where it's like, I need to, do whatever, but, like, I still want to keep my channel up, because if I ever get away from it too long, I feel like I'm just going to let it die out, and I'm just not going to return. But I don't want that to happen. Like, I want to keep stuff going on, especially because, like, I love talking about 100 Years Quest, and when stuff goes down, like, generally, like, just in chapters where stuff gets crazy, like, this last chapter I loved. I thought this was super cool. Even, like, the bits with Sai and Gray that we got, I think it builds like a good picture idea of where Gray might be headed to power-wise and ability-wise. We'll see. Like, that's going to just be that, like, frustrating wait to see what exactly Mishima has planned for Gray going beyond this. I think the idea of him being able to, like, freeze things just with hand motions, kind of like if, like, every step, if he took it, just froze an area around him, and it was just, like, fighting him is you're going to have to deal with just everything getting constantly frozen in general. Like, imagine it's like pulses of ice make silver, and it's like every time he attacks, one of those happens, and it just becomes a difficulty of getting past a baseline power. I got a hair in my mouth. Hang on. I think I got it. Fuck. Anyway. Yeah, I think Iron Nancy will be fine. What are people said about Jericho stuff? Because the Jericho stuff has no context that makes it okay. With Meliodas and Elizabeth, there's like the fact that, okay, the curse, it's still Elizabeth. She's going to eventually become Elizabeth. She's going to meet Meliodas. And they're going to constantly see each other despite her being, reincarnated. But the way that she works, it's not like Avatar, where you are, like, the soul reincarnates, but it becomes a full new person. Like, Elizabeth will be Elizabeth. So it's like when Meliodas said, like, don't come near my woman. It's like, well, he's looking at it because it's her soul, and he knows that 20 years or whatever to him is nothing. It's nothing. He's thousands of years old, and he's immortal, so at least he was at the time. So waiting 20 years is nothing to him, because when he knows whose soul this is, he knows who she's going to become. Whereas with Jericho I would imagine Jericho knew Lancelot when he was born as a baby, and then it's like she seemed to have developed feelings for him when he was like 10. So it's like, yeah, that's a little weird, Jericho. You're definitely in the worst areas of creepy anime character stuff. I'm really sure one more female looking Serena is just a minor villain for Godjill. I don't think he's gonna be a minor villain. He's like a Blue Note-esque type of random opponent, but I don't think he's gonna be as easy as Blue Note and Natsu, because we know like where Natsu was and where Blue Note was. God Serena should be, I would imagine, equal to where he was before he died, or stronger. We just got to figure out what happened that made him so he's alive. Like, does he still have his dragon slaying powers? Has he, has he used alchemy to compensate? Is he stronger than he was before? I think this is going to be way more of just like a good fight for Godjill, more than anything. I don't think it's going to be Godjill runs over this guy. Unless Godjill shows up and has something new and shiny and some crazy upgrade, then I think that God Serena should be able to put up a good fight. I would like a medium to like high difficulty fight. Like if this is... Because, like, I really want Godjill to have a big Godjill kind of spotlight with Viernes. I think it makes more sense with the Gold Dragon God than the Earth Dragon God arc, because gold is metal, and you could integrate that into Godjill, getting some form of upgrade, black gold or something, a video at some point. But for now, I think the general giving Gajo a cool fight, giving him an upgrade, maybe getting him a degree of Dragon Force would be stellar. Like, he doesn't have to have nearly as progressed Dragon Force as Natsu or Wendy, but just getting him in that general ballpark where he can use it at will. And maybe something else beyond this. Maybe he'll get some form of additional ability, some form of upgrade with it that he can use for his iron. I don't know. Regardless, I mean, I'm not going to complain about a Gajo fight. I'm pretty hyped for that. You're talking about Ziggy being Shiki. The thing is, like, the Ziggy Shiki stuff, people predicted a while ago. That was always one of those very likely plot lines. But it's the question of how did the character get to where he's at that makes it interesting. If Lucius tries to kill Asta and nothing else, and I'm dropping the series, his goal should have had Ultramalik kill dead Asta. It depends on the context. Like, why did he wait, like, this whole year in the first place? Did he want to make... if he's like, oh, I needed to make sure X, Y, or Z happened, I need the... Like, if he says, oh, I needed you to just... You guys and all your stuff to kind of just go about your business and keep any potential eyes off me or something. Something like that. There has to just be a reason why he just didn't... Why he waited. And I feel like that's an easy answer, though. But we just gotta wait. I'm happy for returning minor villain. Oh, yeah, I read this one. I don't think the God Slayers will get any good general showings. Like, Mishima doesn't seem to like the God Slayers. Maybe in, like, if we ever get, like, a next-gen thing, then God Slayers can be relevant again. Will the God Slayer use one of his unseen Lacryma for healing? I mean, I could see, like, you know, the Gale one having a healing thing, but, like, I don't think it's that. I feel like it has to be something more complicated than that. Or it means that more of this brigand will appear. I mean, that'd be cool. The thing is, like, who would really appear? Demaria, like, we know that Brandish is on vacation. Demaria doesn't fight anymore. Jacob works directly with Agiel, and Nineheart and Invul are in prison. Everybody else is dead, so I don't really know what the plan would be for them. God's Serena coming back, yeah, but I mean, you can only... There has to be a good reason for a character to be back when you think they're dead. Especially, like, a character that's, like, an antagonist. I think, obviously, more so, like, a protagonist. But, like, an antagonist, you need some form of reason. We understood how Irene came back. The question is, like, what's going on with God Serena? Like, how... Not only how is this guy back, but the fact that his hair is different, like, it's longer, that implies that he's been alive for a while. Unless he was resurrected somehow with longer hair, then he has to have been alive for a while. Like, maybe he didn't actually straight die when Acnologia killed him. Like, imagine he's got some form of aspect with all the 8 Lacrima that it's like, oh yeah, after a day I will revive or something. And that's the benefit to 8 Dragon Lacrima or something, is you're immortal. But it's like a lower... It's like a degree of immortality that is only, like, with the Lacrima in his body. Or maybe it requires them all to be drained of their power to bring him back. Like, there has to be something in there that makes you go, okay, cool. Fine, that's fine. Like, that's something that, like, you know, aligns with the story. It's something that can easily be understood. And it's not something that can be abused. Because that's one of those things that I think always needs to happen. You can't introduce a power or something on a character that it can be outright abused. Like, if he had a power to straight come back to life, him specifically, then it'd be like, well, you have to keep this character important or relevant or figure out a way to get rid of him. Because you can't just have a character who's... It's like... Imagine, like, a character like Hidan from Naruto. It's like he's unkillable, but you don't want to do anything with him. You just let him walk around. It's like, well, what is this character doing? What are they up to? If they've got literally all the time in the world to do stuff, what are they up to? It's like, no, you got to get rid of characters like that if you're not going to do anything with them. How strong do you think the current Shigaraki can be in Fairy Tail? He's like Wizard Saint level. He's like mid Wizard Saint level. Maybe like lower, like the lower kind of like bottom 3 area. And these alchemist folk find it in the goodness of their hearts to make a ritual and bring back Peakville and Margear. Probably not, unfortunately. What do you think of the second quirk? The second's quirk is? I would like some form of like burst mode thing. I think it'd be really cool if he had a quirk that just like in general it was, imagine like Kaioken, but it also worked on your abilities. So it's like if you had a power that it makes things big. So you grab a rock, you throw it, it turns into a boulder. It's like the size of a car. You use this power, it's like a burst power. It makes you like stronger, fast. It's essentially just an all-around amp for a temporary period of time. And instead of throwing the rock and it turns into a car, it's like the size of a freaking building, or it's like a blimp. And you're just chucking like a whole like a whole freaking submarine-sized rocket somebody. Something like that. So it's like, oh, Bakugo isn't going to get some extra broken quirk to where now he can teleport or something. It's just, oh, now he's overall stronger, his explosions are way better, and he's just able to use everything to a higher degree. Maybe even like a higher level of explosion to where he goes to like being able to make tiny nuclear blasts or something really cool like that. Something like that I think would be really badass, especially endgame. Meliodas on the groomer. Meliodas is fine. Like, you gotta give Meliodas the fair context. Like, that was Elizabeth reincarnated and, like, was always set to be Elizabeth. It's not like she was Elizabeth turning into a whole new person and she'll never be the same unless Meliodas intervenes. It's like they were bound to always pretty much reconnect at some point. I'm really hoping that Jericho is under some form of spell. If she's gonna come out and realize she's got to erase her whole internet browser history. Any other Fatal members will get involved now. The only person in the guild, like the only people I guess I can see really getting involved further would be Guild Arts and Jalal if Jalal gets accepted. Because like the people we know, Sting, Rogue, and Guild Arts all should be relevant at some point. And I refuse to think that Mishima's been doing all this stuff with Jalal like on a back burner without a plan. It's just weird. Like, if he's been having all this stuff in the back with Jalal and all these moons and imagery with the moon between him and Urza and not have a plan to have Jalal relevant somehow, I don't know. Gold, Iron, Dragon, Sling Magic. I think it'd be like Black Gold and it's something badass like that. I believe God Serena beats Gadgil. It's going to depend on Gadgil. Because Gadgil's got to have some form of upgrade, some form of, like, limitation breaking moment, some form of new ability that he's going to unlock in this fight or that he's bringing into the fight. So I would really like to see some Gadgil spotlight. I would, because the thing about God Serena is God Serena doesn't have to win to look good. God Serena just has to put up a good show. Like, legitimately, God Serena will improve his image in the fandom entirely by showing all his abilities, have all the 8 elements in there, a cool, like, 2-chapter, maybe 2.5-chapter fight, if we're lucky, and some backstory. Give us a little bit of backstory. Give us a little bit to understand you. It doesn't even have to be, like, a flashback. If he explains, like, say it's like this. He explains a little bit where he's from, says, like, oh, in the city of something, because of the practices with the, you know, the 8 dragon slaying Lacrima, one warrior, like, we train one person, it's like the Highlander, and eventually somebody has all of those, last man standing gets all 8, and they have this ability that they can come back to life if they're ever defeated, whatever, and it connects maybe to Viernes, and we would get, like, the broader sense to kind of just get a grasp on the character, but then it's like, oh, well, we go to the city he's from, and we find out more about their culture and, like, whatever they connect to, and it just kind of gives us an expansion of what we already know from God Serena. If he does, like, a basic amount, like, he doesn't have to do all, like, the rest, because, like, we could get a good expansion of his character, like I said, just a general expansion of, like, his lore and stuff, through a Viernes arc, seeing whatever city or whatever he governs or whatever his location, his territory is. There's a good opportunity there to just build upon God Serena without having to have him actually there. So if we can just get him to do a couple things, that'll be the best thing for him. And Gadgil can still win, and it will be a win for both of their characters. A character doesn't have to win to look good. Like, God Serena, we already understood where he was strength-wise. We got a really cool, memorable moment with him, even though it was at his dismay. If we can get him just, you know, raising the bar for him, expanding a little bit of the lore, and giving Gadgil a good fight, and giving Gadgil an upgrade of some kind, you know, really doing some stuff for the Gadgil fan base, I think his position in the verse will do great. I think he will move up. He'll probably move up onto some people's lists more. Maybe some people will like the character more and start fanning him. Like, that's like just general net positive overall for him. If he somehow beats Gadgil, I'll be really surprised, because then it's like, well, what is Mishima planning to do with him? Is he going to evolve him into, like, a little bit more relevant to character? But I don't think so. I like his character doesn't really have the room for it right now when everything's, like, going on. Like, the bigger people, obviously, with, like, Dogromag and Celine's involvement. So it's like with with God Serena, who else would he really fight? Is he going to fight Eleftheria? Which also tells me, like, makes me wonder, like, what is Eleftheria doing right now? Because we last saw him, what, chapter 110, 109 or something like that? What exactly was it? Let me go back and look. Because we got him a decent bit ago, like, and he's like, you know, what exactly is your plan? He's trying to figure out what's going on with Doggermag and Enignia. Was it 110? Let me see. Or that might have been before that because of what was going on with Laxus and Kieran. Here's Soul of a King. Was it really 108? Was it this far back? Earth's Awakening. It must have been because that's when Doggermag gets up. Yeah, that was when we last saw Eleftheria. So Eleftheria's been down for like 6 chapters. What is that? 3 months of not seeing this dude do anything. I guess that's better than. I mean, for him, I would say that's better than when, you know, not doing anything for 3 months and schooling on a Madmal. But I mean, he is like, we know he's conscious, and he should be, I would assume for the most part, fine. He looks like he's in distress, but dude, get up. You're a law dragon. Have somebody like read you some rules and eat him or something. I thought he fought Gildarts. Blue Note did. What are you talking about? Is some in the comments? God Serena like skirmished with Gildarts, but not really. I'm sure God Serena will be weaker, even though he lost, maybe even lost his Dragon Slaying magic. If Godjo win against God Serena, it'll be crazy. The whole bit about his Dragon Slaying magic is going to be the question mark. Hybrid do literally keeping up somewhat with Gildarts. Well, I mean, not really. Gildarts, so the Gildarts we saw fight him, like, that was Gildarts not putting a lot of effort because God Serena was weaker as one of the Historias. Managing a gold and iron Shadow Slayer, that'd be pretty sweet. Larcade revived? I doubt that. I don't think that's going to happen. I really want another battle between Lucy and Brandish at some point. I would love to have like a good, just like settled match between them and Lucy to win and just show where Lucy's at. I don't think Godslayers will get any other gens. I think another generation of Godslayers isn't needed. I think what we need is just like, if we ever get to a next gen series, a next gen Fairy Tail series, I think that is a good time for a Godslayer. Like, early on enough to where Godslayer can be hype. And it's like, Godslayers have a strong magic, but most of the people that get them don't last that long for like Mishima to use. So it's like, if we got like a character that he would wanted to build on, made him a Godslayer, made him cool and likable, then maybe then. Watch Viernes be a classic Western dragon hoarding treasure and keeping Aquarius key because it's made of gold. I don't think he'll be that straightforward, but I could see like the gold aspect of the key really being a factor in it. Just because if he is one of those characters, like he's just like some gold hoarding dragon, I feel like he has to be crazy. Like he has to be some lunatic that he's like hiding and nobody's been able to find him, or like nobody tries to talk to him or something like that. But I think with Gold Owl and Viernes, there has to be some form of connection between them. Like, it'd be weird to me if they weren't, if they didn't have something. No, what, Bakugo died. Don't bring him back. I mean, he's not gonna die. I'll be surprised if he dies. But it's like, this to me, it's like, yeah, I think Bakugo is about to get some form of cool power up. He's gonna get some form of upgrade. I'm not mad at it. As long as it's cool, it does stuff for his character, then I'm cool with it. I do think that, because like I never thought Bakugo was gonna die. The character I thought was gonna die, and I figured would die, would be All Might. I'm surprised that All Might's lived this long. All Might still being alive is so strange to me. Not a bad way, but it's like, as long as he dies at some point, then I'll be like, okay, cool. But it's like, I mean, not negative wise. Like, I don't hate All Might, but it's like I feel like his character has to die at some point by just like the general nature of the story, and like I'm just surprised he's still alive. Like, I'm surprised the dude is still going, because like he is a character. I feel like he's been passed up and he's just been on the back so much. Like, it's weird that he is even alive, because you'd think that his character would have got killed off for whatever reason, you know, to really build that tension and really kind of like set up a dire situation for the end. But like, you know, he's still going. Why can't that burn Meliodas use Lost Vein to send a clone to help the other kids? I don't know. Oh, that bum Meliodas. I have no idea what's going on with that. Why he's not doing anything with his clones. How many chapters or arcs do you think Horikoshi should have had in between the Paramount War and the Final War? I think what he should have done is he should have really kind of like laid out the build of events. Had stuff like, oh, the villains are up to, you know, it's not just, oh, the villains are up to something. Like, imagine another event, kind of like how the My Villain Academia was happening, but it's like 4 of those in different locations in the world, and it's not like, oh, we're about to start. It's like, no, we're done. We've already conquered these guys, their forces, their units, their weapons, whatever. They're ours now for what's left. And you really build that, like, rising almost empire of danger coming. And one, I think All Might should have absolutely died. All Might should have been dead, and it's not a power thing. I think it would have put Deku in, like, a state of being a little bit lost, not having somebody to turn to for advice. Like, he was already trying to, like, it was a weird different direction he was moving after the time skip, to where he was not wanting to work with him because he wanted to keep him safe. He wanted to kind of put everything on his own shoulders. But I think that I think that arc's fine, the way that it was set, but I think that there should have been way more build before the final arc. There should have been more between that Deku and this Deku. There should have been a point in between where it's like, you kill off All Might, Deku is like just at a spot where he really needs to kind of get a hold on himself and a hold of like his capabilities and his own general kind of like experience and knowledge. And like, I think it'd be really cool if he'd be struggling to be like, I need advice, but I can't ask All Might, he's dead or whatever. And then you eventually see like, yeah, he's dead. I can't do anything about that. I need to be able to stand on my own 2 feet, figure out my own problems, and if not, there are other people that I can ask. And you reference like his, just different people in his group, his friends, like the people around him he could use for support. I think it's the lack of build between the 2 arcs that really make the end of My Hero really weird, because it's like you skipped over like an arc I think that should have been there to kind of really build. Oh yeah, stuff's going on, because all it really was, it's like the villains got their stuff. Shigaraki got released early, went a little crazy, and then went right back to hiding, and then came out again, and then Stars and Stripes had like a random fight, but that like Stars and Stripes dying did almost nothing because we've got no interactions with her. And then that just pushed time back again, but like Deku and Ko's not getting the screen time. So I think that was one of the things that really hurt too, is Stars and Stripes. Stars and Stripes. Oh, hang on, people call me, but I'm busy. Stars and Stripes getting a call. Oh, not a call. I was like, I'm getting a call. Stars and Stripes getting a whole situation where she's going to be the one to show up and fight this Shigaraki, right? She's going to be the one to show up. She's got to do battle with him, and she's going to be the one to seemingly maybe fight him. Seemingly maybe beat him, rather. Obviously, she did fight him. But there was no connection to the main cast, so when she died, okay. The chapters were just cool, action-y, but the problem I think a lot of that had is like it took, and it's one of the things I think My Hero does have a problem with at times, and not in the worst way. It's like when you take the spotlight away from the main characters and stuff, and you don't have something going on for them or some form of kind of development that they're going through, to where there's just like this blank space of like imagine if it's before the My Hero or My Villain stuff, Deku's like, oh, I have to practice this X, Y, or Z. And it's like, yeah, well, this is happening, he's training this thing. Afterwards, he's gonna have this thing either down enough or mastered, and then you work forward. And then it's like, well, Deku's doing stuff, what's going on in the back burner with Shigaraki's doing bad guy stuff, and then you eventually kind of like collide these 2 pathways. But the problem is like Horikoshi just keeps jumping over. Like imagine it as like, you think of the full track of like the 2 pathways of these characters, and they're snaking in between each other, coiling, but he's just jumping to the points where they intersect, and he's like skipping over, I think, points where they should spread out from each other, but eventually coil back in and have their paths intertwined to where their characters will clash. And that's, to me, one of the bigger problems with what's been going on with My Hero. Because I think that just the general way that it's transitioned in the final arc has been weird. It doesn't feel organic, I think. It kind of feels to me, it's not the same, but it kind of feels like whenever something is getting out, it's like, okay, you're only allowed 1 more arc. We're not going to axe you like a soft axe. And that's not what's happening with My Hero, which is weird. It's just weird that it feels like it's being rushed, but it's not. because like the fight with Dabi and Todoroki was good. I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. But then it's like the fights after that. Who cares? We're at some interesting stuff with Bakugo, but I mean that's in between. Like we're at, okay, this is interesting. We'll see how this goes. It's gonna be a good fight. I don't really think so. Like I don't think it's gonna be as good as Todoroki or versus Todoroki versus Bakugo. Todoroki versus Dabi, because the difference there is there's a lot of personal stake in there, and I don't think that Bakugo is going to have the same situation where he's going to beat Shigaraki. I would be really surprised if he beat Shigaraki and then it's Deku versus All for One, because otherwise there's no one for Bakugo to have that big signifying end fight, unless it's going to be just alongside Deku and they share it. But I think even in that situation, it's probably going to be Deku more so. Like, I think Bakugo should have gotten a solo fight and then something like that, because I think he needs a spotlight moment going out if this is going to be the last arc. Unless Horikoshi does do some form of next-gen series, makes him older, or does something like that, then it'll just be really weird to me to end a series with one of the main cast members not getting a proper send-out. Because especially when you look at Todoroki, like Todoroki's fight was cool. It could have been longer, but it wasn't designed to be longer. And it was a fight that really kind of gave him a really cool end bit. It was against an opponent that you knew he was going to fight for a long time, so the build-up was there. There was a lot of really cool art stuff, just general panels and whatnot going on between them. But like with Bakugo and Shigaraki, it's like the opponent to opponent chemistry isn't there as much, because you know that he's just kind of fighting him until Deku gets there. I feel like Gajo knew better to fight Kiryu than Lucy. No, Gajo should clap over Kiryu pretty easily. Because they're similar in character, they got Lactor Scully on Madbull. Yeah, but it's like he would just clap them again. Bakugo won 6 popularity polls in a row. He's never dying. Yeah, I doubt he's dying. I still think Lucius will break Asta's swords. Breaking a sword would be really cool, because I still think Asta needs to get his own custom sword. I think that'll be super weird for like a swordsman to never get a swordsman who's set up to get multiple swords to not get his own sword. If it was like an inheritance sword or a sword that he got that it's like this is the only sword he's ever going to use, someone like, Guts in the Dragon Slayer, okay. But it's like if Guts got like 3 other swords along the way, I would expect at some point for him to get his own custom sword. Because I feel like that's just a logical endpoint for all sword-based characters to eventually get some like pinnacle of their craft blade just for them. And Asta hasn't gotten that yet. Asta's only gotten swords that were licks, or swords that were, sword that was Yami's. He doesn't have any that are custom to his. I think Asta's that would be custom to his would be like every time he slashes like magic, it absorbs it and converts it into a physical strength boost or something. Or it like fuels anti-magic or whatnot. It makes him faster and stronger. Or something that gives him a general boost to like how he fights. Or maybe he'll never get one and he'll combine them or some shit. He'll get some super anti-magic blade. What's your opinion on Lucy's characters that have been changed since the beginning of Fairy Tail? I think it's fine. I like the progression of how she's gone. My favorite design is when she's got the really long side ponytail. I think that one's really good because it's like an evolution of her original design. Because she's had all the, she's had variants and stuff and different outfits she's worn, but I really like the one where it's like her at the start plus. It's a bonus. It's like she looked back and said, I full upgrade. Who has more credibility when scaling Black Clover? J Cloud, Broku, RTL, Faith, or Quan? See, I gotta think about that. Broku goes crazy with some feats. I think Jay is pretty fine with scaling. Because Jay's inverse scaling is fine. The only thing with Jay I ever have an issue with when it comes to his scaling is when he ignores, like, scaling terms. Like, Black Clover's country is called a country. True. But when you look at the sides of it, it's the size of a small country. So if somebody destroyed it, unless like the energy amount was like, it cratered it, evaporated a bunch of shit, like enough to push the energy amount to one of those feats where it's like it destroyed, it's like, oh, it destroyed a small country, but like the energy style, it actually is, 10 times that. It's, it's large country, I guess. I think it's 10 times small country. It's country. But you know what I mean? Where it's just the type of feat it was pushes it up to a higher degree by like the way that matter is destroyed and whatnot. It's like you'll have that. It's like, okay, yeah, it's like a small country little feat, but because it's called the Clover Kingdom is just called a country, he'll just say it's country level. And like, I get where he's coming from, but it's like if you're gonna when you're talking about like the general bars for like feats and stuff and like general levels, it's like you can't look at it inverse because it's like, well, then Etherion's only country level, even though Etherion, the countries that it is capable of destroying with context are like the sides of real world continents. It's just one of those things. You got to look at the context of what the characters are saying, because the size of a country can vary. You can have the Vatican City and you can have Russia. Like there's two giant jumps. Or I guess there can just be two jumps between the two of them. Rather, there's the better way to say it. But yeah, Faith. The problem with Faith is he doesn't do anything with scaling. Him and Quan are both like, they don't do anything with versus stuff really, like outside of like low matchups and stuff. But it's like they don't really talk as much about more versus battle terms and scaling terms. I think if you're just talking about purely scaling, I would probably give it to Broku or Jay. But I think let me think, because I don't think Quan. Like Quan and Faith, I think, are both fine for scaling, but like I can't think of any times where they've gone like deep into scaling, so I could be like, yeah, they're pretty much right in the ball with scaling. Whereas like I know Broku and Jay definitely scale fine, and as long as I think Broku's general scale is fine. I think it's when he like puts like the crazier feats and tries to like make characters levels that I don't agree with, that it's like weird. But it's like where he puts most of the characters I would agree with. But when he says stuff like Sveking can take Prime Licked, it's like, what are you talking about? Maki's such a bum. She could catch bullets at the start of the series despite her being stronger than Mach 3. That is weird. That's like, you'd think that she would be way faster than Mach 3 if like bullets, because a handgun bullet, especially a revolver bullet, like should be around Mach 1. And she still caught it with some difficulty, but she was able to do it successfully without like it being like a, man, there's no way you could replicate that. Like there was, like, you saw the feat, it's like, yeah, she could do that again. Like it's not like she's gonna be just catching machine gun fire like it's no problem, but you know that like if she had to catch a bullet in that scenario again, she probably could. And then like the gap between her before and now is immense, so you'd think Mach 3 would be nothing. I definitely agree on that one with you. And just real quick, I'd really appreciate, because we're, I guess, technically a half hour in because the first 10 minutes didn't go anywhere. I'd really appreciate if you thumbs up the stream, befriend the like button, the subscribe button if you haven't yet. And, if you feel like joining the channel, I do need to get back on content for members. Don't worry, I'm getting back on that. I have added a couple things, not much. I think I added a new emoji, and I think I added a new badge rank. And I don't expect anybody to join or do anything until I get it a little bit more up to shape. I do have a couple videos that I'm going to make visible to members first, and I'll probably do that for like a day or two before I put it out to everybody else. And then my plan is to do video game streams only for members, but I'm going to do like the first episode or two, whatever, of a game for everybody, and then if you want to watch more, just be a member. And it'll only be like, $1 a month or whatever for membership, $1 or $2. I'm not going to go crazy. It's just kind of like extra bonus. So we'll see about that. I did get a capture card, and I got another monitor again. Like I was able to fix my monitor situation. So soon I'm planning that. I just have to start looking into how to do it, because I've never used the capture card or anything before. I just have to do some test stuff and see if there's anything I need to do. Deep Snow and Doryu over Lucifer and Kaido? I'd probably give him that. Definitely Doryu. Deep Snow is definitely more of a personal pick thing. I think he's pretty cool, but like Doryu is pretty badass. Espada, Ziggy, Tosin versus Organization 13. Organization 13 claps. Like, they blitz. Like, they're so much faster and so much more powerful. Bloodmoon sold the entire Sabretooth guild. He has no pushover. I mean, he's pretty powerful, and he's broken. Bakugo, oh, what's this? There's the Bakugo, pissed off Bakugo hater in here. Let's see. Can we get an Soul to Earth Spirit and let her... No, we're not giving it to Soul. Soul won't get it. We don't need that. I already read this. There's just the Bakugo hate one. The Bakugo hate one is pretty funny. I think Lucius will break Asta. I already read this one. Let me see. Bakugo is trash. I hope he's dead. And Overkoshi doesn't bring him back. I doubt he's dead. I don't think he's trash, but I don't think he's dead. What would you do if people? Wait. What do you think? Okay, there we go. Of people saying Mirko being reckless and only fight minded, not making sense as top 10 despite being clear from the get go from her personality. I mean, we've already seen that she's capable. We've already seen that she is a capable hero and she's able to get the shit done that she's like assigned to. And even if she gets beat up and like mutilated, she's gonna keep going. I don't really see the point in going hard on her of what she benefits from. Like her whole quirk and like how it works is like direct frontal attacks, like melee attacks. I'm not gonna hate on her for it. Not everybody can deal with that in the verse, so it's like there's only some characters that are going to be able to even fight back when she gets to that point. Assuming Gajo can use Dragon Force at will, she'll be able to beat God Serena. But that's under the assumption he can use Dragon Force at will, and we don't know that. We saw Gajo fight Natsu in a skirmish, well, mind controlled, but still, not too long ago, and he didn't use Dragon Force, so who knows? Let me get this post. I'm gonna screenshot the best scaler. I'm gonna add him on Twitter and see if I can lure him out. It might be funny. We'll see. Some good bait and clowning posts are usually pretty funny. Let's see. I'll put them in order. J, Roku, RT, and Quan. Can't believe you didn't ask about Josuke. What's with this Josuke downplay? I'm sure Josuke, is on point too. I would definitely some minute things I would definitely miss, like small signs about like mana amount and whatnot. Like, oh, this character ran out of mana 10 minutes before this one. Like, there's higher mana amounts, so there should be strong. But shit like that I'd miss. Blood. I already read this one. Or Kiria appearance and help Gajiel defeat Serena? Why would Kiria help Gajiel, though? That doesn't really make sense. If I Tsunagi meet and become a 5th gen consort, you're gonna eat. Oh, the thing is, like, I don't even know it's possible because he's like made of some form of stone. He's not even meat. Because when Natsu destroyed him, like, he was like falling in like chunks that looked like obsidian or some form of granite or some material. Where's the Fairy Tail anime news? I don't know, man. It's been like a year. We're still waiting. I'll sacrifice my neighborhood for Bleach to join Kingdom Hearts. The thing is, like, Bleach airing on our streaming, I guess, on Disney Plus is funny. It's funny in a goofy manner, but at the same time, it is slightly alarming because of, like, it doesn't mean bad stuff, but it puts bad stuff as much more prevalent of a potential than it needed to be. Like the potential dubbing and summing calamities and censorship that they could do that I hope they don't do. Fingers crossed they don't do. Because, like, the Disney memes are funny. But I would rather they just be memes and Bleach be safe. Like, if it's good, I'd be willing to try out Disney Plus for Bleach. Or pirate it, we'll see. But either way, it's something that I could look at and be like, okay, it's something that I can understand the existence of and be fine with versus, oh no, what are they doing where they take out any swearing and there's no blood and Kenpachi's name is like Kenneth or something and they do some weird dubbing. This is what is his name? Irving Curry. Irvin Curry of the Soul Society. He's a substitute Soul Reaper. And he's ready to fight Andrew Salisbury, who's he's trying to get the Hogyoku. I guess it wouldn't be the Hogyoku. I'd have to think of more names, but you don't understand. It's just a dub nightmare. We don't need that. I hope it's not going to happen. I hope that there's somebody at Disney with the knowledge that fucking with that is the worst thing they could do for Bleach. Like, you know how they keep Bleach successful for it being on their stream or on their service? Give it accurate dubs or accurate subs, and I guess if they did the dubs, but give it like 1-for-1 when it's supposed to be. Animate it, don't censor shit, and leave it alone, and it will do swell. What's up going on, Colonel? Crystal? I almost said Colonel Sanders. Crystal Sanders, how are you doing today? What did it take so long for the anime to get announced? Fortnite's got one relatively quickly despite the hate on the fandom. I don't know. I think one of the reasons though they hesitate a lot on like 100 Years Quest is because it is bi-weekly, so they have to wait longer because like it's so much easier to catch up and like ruin it, and I don't want that to happen. I don't want them to catch up and do a bunch of filler arcs. I'd be fine if there was some filler as long as it was beneficial. Because like I don't like watching like when I'm rewatching the anime right now, so I'm in Serious Island. I skipped over Daphne. I skipped over the Edelus like half bit before you see Zareth, where it's just showing what's going on in Edelus before they're fully gone. Some of the filler I'm fine with, like an episode of funny things. Like if Fairy Nail was an episode that was filler in the anime, I wouldn't be mad at it. Like anytime there's just like, okay, we just want to have between this arc and this arc, there are going to be 2 filler episodes. One's going to be a funny one, and one's going to be, you know, maybe a one where they get into a goofy situation they have to get out, and it builds something where it's a callback or something like that. Some form of filler that's beneficial to where it's not just like, oh yeah, this episode they're in Magnolia again. It has nothing to do with anything. It's not a flashback. It's not going to build on any lore. It's not going to enhance any characters. It's like, oh yeah, they're at the bakery and they got to get Urza some cupcakes or something. It's like, those are funny sometimes, but it's like that shouldn't be the focus right now. I wouldn't want that. But it's like if we got, oh yeah, you know, we're going to see more. We're going to have a filler episode right after Ermina where it's like, there's a bunch of like fun stuff going on, but Natsu is like still lamenting over what happened and like how he like had no control and whatnot. We get bits where it builds a little bit, like we get a little bit of information, or like how Fairy Nail did a bit for Gray, like stuff like that, or like how they're doing the bath stuff and goofy stuff prior to Elentier, but it's like it was just set up Elentier and Ferris and what was going on with her, stuff like that. Sure, random filler, no, I don't want just kind of like dead filler. Sister Lily bro-zoned Asta, and immediately his idol showed up to call him a flaw. Yeah, he's not having a good day, I would imagine. Alchemy could transmute stuff, create things. Do you think that maybe Irene's new body could create through alchemy? Theoretically, yeah. I mean, theoretically, they should be able to make a body through alchemy, so maybe that's where Irene's body will come from. Like, the Irene plotline is very interesting. I really want to know what's going to go on with her body. Like, is she going to be getting one soon? Is she going to be kind of staying a personality for a bit longer? Is it, like, are we going to be seeing bits of, like, where she's going to go after that? Like, because the Irene plotline, I think, is weirder than the God Serena plotline. Because with God Serena, okay, he's an opponent. He's going to connect to this guild. He's going to be a direct source of once we get some information on Gold Owl and whatever's going on with it and how it relates to the story. But I assume, this is an assumption, like I could be wrong, I assume that after this fight he's not going to be shown much anymore and he's probably going to be brushed under the rug. Or even die again, who knows. I don't see his character making it out of this fight with more relevance than what he's got right now. I could be wrong, I could be surprised, maybe he'll be a returning character again and he'll have like a normal role in Viernes or whatever the Gold Owl bits are going to, you know, whatever they're going to be. Who knows? But with Irene's has way more of like, this has to go somewhere in the story. Like, this character can't, like, she can't be like God Serena where it's like after the fight, like God Serena could literally just fight, give a little bit of information on Gold Owl and some exposition, some lore and stuff, and then through disappearance and like an explosion, Labyrinth collapsing, Godjo killing him, whatever, his character can easily go again. And we can look back and be like, that was cool that he came back, he did what he did, and then he left. Can't do that with Irene. You can't do that with Irene. She's too important. Like, that's why her bit is super strange. Can Endless bully the Black Clovers? Yes. Endless would just completely run over them. Like, what do they do? Like, they have no way of destroying the Endless. I'm going to miss being a Gray fan. I feel like, the thing is, like, I'm annoyed with how some people over-exaggerate Gray's situation. But at the same time, I get it to a degree. There's a degree in there that I'm just like, I understand the frustrations for it. But I do think people are, like, I think people overreact. I think people go way too heavy on, like, acting like Gray's getting nothing and there's nothing going on with Gray. But I do see I see the frustration in the pace of it. as long as the fight with Sai and the cold slicer move, and it's like whatever he's going to kind of advance his moveset from here, as long as Mishima does something with that and like progresses it, and maybe the next fight will get more of like a big gray fight, then I think they'll be fine. But if it came down to it and it's like we're gonna have one good fight, like one big fight for a character and one like minor fight for a character, and you get to pick, and it's like Gojo and Gray, I'm gonna give Gojo the good fight, I'm gonna give Gray the minor fight, because Gray's doesn't deserve it as much as Gojo. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think anything outside of like a heavy Gray stan is gonna say that Gray deserves a big fight over Gojo right now, because after this arc, Gojo could easily go away and we don't see him again, and they go back to the 100 Years quest. Gray will still be here. Gray could easily get that fight next arc. I would prefer this arc. I prefer Scullion to get back up and Gray get a fight, but we don't know exactly what's going to go on with Gray and what's going to go on with that, so we'll see. And what exactly Mishima has planned for it. We've got, what, halfway on Dogremag stuff, so maybe like 1 to 2 more fights. I think it'd be really cool if we got like Gray have the warm-up with Sai, we have the fight with God Serena, and then maybe, fingers crossed, Scullion and Madmal get up. If Scullion and Madmal don't get up and don't get a fight, my only hopes further for them is that we do get that team up and get together between Fairy Tail and Diablo, so I can see them more from a ally side, because I just want to get to know more of their characters, because like I want them to fight, but that's the easiest way to see them do stuff and get to see more of them in this arc, and find out more about Scullion and Madmal. But if not, and it's like, oh, next arc they're not going to be enemies, they're going to be allies, and maybe we'll team up, or we'll find out some lore in them, or whatever, I'm fine with that too. I just really want to find out more about them, because I think they're cool, especially because they've been around so long. Like Misaki, Haku, Kirin. Well, Kirin's cool. Misaki and Haku, I like Haku, he's funny, but like there's not enough for me to really kind of like really put some stake in his character. And Misaki just hasn't gotten much love for anything from Mishima. He doesn't seem to really like her. I don't know if it's just one of those things where it's perception because of where we're at in the story. Maybe in like a couple chapters she'll get up and do something and it'll be like, oh yeah, it's just she was set up for that shitty spot and now we're really gonna get to see her, or something like that. Cool. But other than that, like, I'm waiting for Scullion and Madmal. Like, I would prefer Scullion and Madmal to do stuff before we get to Misaki getting another round, but we'll see. That's one of those things that it's like, we might not get it, we might not. Do you think the Celestial Spirit King Star Dress would be like if there were if it were to ever come to fruition? I think it will. The thing is, like, the Celestial Spirits, the thing that Lucy legitimately has as like a perk, like a character perk, when you think about like the characters at an individual level, not their abilities. Like, you're just talking about technically their abilities, not like their main magics. But it's like how Lucy has hologram. So if you put Lucy in a fight, she has one auto death save, one automatic death save. Or like how Natsu is pretty much immune to time stop. Time stop of any kind doesn't really work on him. So say if you had something going on with Lucy to where you were able to kind of like look at, oh yeah, she just has this innately as a bonus. And I think for her, one of the things is like the Celestial Spirits just like her. The Celestial Spirits favor Lucy, and I think it makes sense as to why. We know that she treated them well. She doesn't treat them like shit like a lot of other people did, so they were willing to be nicer to her. And it's not just like the Celestial Spirit King was able to listen to Lucy back when, Loki was being revealed to be Leo and all the stuff going on with his backstory. But look at, like, say, when Virgo gave Lucy her whip. Because that was something that's like, yeah, the Celestial Spirits were worried about her because she was running out of magic too fast, so they gave her a magic weapon so she could fight without having to just go right to summoning. And it's like, yeah, I can see them doing that for, like, giving her these things because they like her and they want her to prosper. But a lot of that is just, like, literally it's not, oh, yeah, she has this power that gives her free upgrades. It's like, no, these are characters too, technically. Oh, they're technically part of Lucy's moveset, and obviously why you wouldn't count them if, say, like, you did, like, kind of like the Sirius Island. None of her spirits counted in their group. It's like, no, those were Lucy's summons. But it's like, they are all their own individual characters, and they also want to help Lucy because Lucy's just innately nice to them. Like, she treats them like people. So, of course, like, not even, like, protagonist setup. It's just like in general, I feel like, yeah, so they'd want to help out people who treat them well. Yeah, the Jutsu Kaisen verse is really slow in comparison. You do a video explaining light shadow dragon magic, but none on light or shadow magic. Well, I wanted to do one in general on I was just kind of doing one on like a magic that I want to do, and I was supposed to do a Sting video on that like a year ago. But I'm reformatting a lot of what I've been doing. Obviously, like every few months or so, I've changed stuff a little bit. I have an idea of how I kind of want to do some stuff, and I like expect things to kind of like I would hope shape up in the next couple weeks. So there's a lot of stuff I have planned, especially like I have this new video editor system. I'm going to be really working on stuff like my general format, and I think what I'm going to do too is like I'm going to try and get better at rendering and just like general Photoshop image editing. Because I think what I might do is like make it easier for like when I do characters and stuff to kind of like just have it rendered and then format them like on the page, on my screen, and then just kind of like shift in talking about feats. Because one thing I really wanted to do that I thought about this recently is I want to do like it's not like I invented this, but like a full character profile. So like if I did one on Natsu, I wouldn't just talk about he's a fire dragon. So I talk about his different abilities. Not just his different abilities, what they did. I'd bring up like, he primarily sets in direct hand-to-hand combat style moves, but he does have stuff like cleave attacks, like his fire dragon wing attacks, where he's just cleaving like a general area around him. He's got cone type charged attacks with his fire dragon's roar. He's got attacks that are both general AoE around him, but also ranged fireballs like his brilliant flame. Things like he's immune to time stop. He has ways of combating soul-based abilities. Stuff like that. Talk about the different forms and perks that come with each of them. I really want to do videos like on that soon, and I plan on really kind of getting to that over the next couple weeks. I'll probably start with Natsu just because that's an easy one, and then maybe I'll let like the people vote on like the next ones and stuff, because I want to do ones on the characters but also the combat side of them. And I think if I just format it differently, whereas like I keep the one archives to keep them like more of like I just talk about the characters versus like these battle profiles or whatever I'll call them, and keep it less of like I was doing a little bit before, but I was doing it more of like a cross-verse stat thing. But I want to do it more on just Fairy Tail, where I talk about more of like the characters' abilities. We'll talk about their best feats and like their most dangerous techniques and stuff, and kind of make it more formatted to that. So instead of it just being like some cross-verse versus stuff, it'd be like if somebody really wanted to know what this specific character it can do. Oh yeah, here's their abilities and whatnot. Look over their feats and kind of gauge some of the feats your own way. Theories about how the Stone Dragon from Grand Magic Games was a young Doggermag got shot down last chapter because the Stone Dragon had no nose. I mean, yeah, he doesn't have a nose. Well, but the thing is, like, Doggermag, like, hey, let me see if Doggermag has a nose in his humanoid form. Or, sorry, not his humanoid form, in his dragon form. I don't think he did. Let me see, did he? No, he doesn't have a nose in his dragon form. He has a nose in his humanoid form, but that's because he's transformed into this. So that still might be a possibility. I think it'd be a really badass, like, really cool one, but I don't think so. Oh, Faith is mad that you wrote, whoever was this, Dark Flame wrote his name is RT Faith. He's not even meat. Yeah, he's not even meat. He's made of stone and rocks and shit. Like, he's a Rocky boy. Or that'd be stabbed in the balls and pay for Disney. The thing is, like, I don't want to pay for Disney Plus, but it's like, I want to watch Bleach, so I might pirate it, but we'll see. I hope, as for Asnot, name with bad dub. I hope for, Asnot. What do you think his name would be? His name would be like, his name would just be like Casey. This is Casey Noddington. It's just like, yeah, we didn't know how the fuck to say as or like make a name for it. They're just going to give him a bunch of weird Disney names. Yuri on Disney dubbing would be helping elder Quincy's instead of experimenting. Yeah, he's like, yeah, your grandpa, or he fell down and I helped him up, but he never got up. That's gonna be the shift in it. Happy the Assassin, how's it going? Skipping over Daphne or a fake fan. The only thing about the Daphne stuff that's good is Gajio gets a Dragon Slayer secret art that he never uses again, and there's a unison raid between Juvia and Gray. Outside of that, there's nothing really valuable in that arc, and I feel like it's a waste of time. Like, it makes people in the guild look stupid. It makes no sense in the story. I'm just not a fan of the Daphne arc. Like, the Daphne arc doesn't even go anywhere. And also, the thing about the Daphne arc I have a structural problem with, like, legit. I don't like it about the story of the arc. And I don't think Mishima wrote it. I think it was by the anime team, because Mishima had a hand in everything after that. Like, he even puts it on Twitter and talks about it and shit, and it made sense in the story. But it's the fact that oh crap, man, I almost lost my train of thought. Hold on, shit. Oh, it's the fact that Daphne and the villain at the end of the arc, it's just a weaker version of what comes next. Because Daphne is before Daedalus. False big thing is he has a giant dragon mech that like runs on magic and like needs like their whole set of like needing dragon slaying power and stuff for like their plan. Not the full thing for the Dorna Anum, but it needs magic to run. And then it's like Daphne has a big dragon mech that runs on Natsu, and it's just no. I'm not a fan of the Daphne arc. It's not the worst filler out there, but it's definitely a filler that it's like if somebody skips over it, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at people skipping over Daphne. Daphne is just not the time for it. Just never been a fan of what exactly she's got presented. Because, like, Daphne doesn't even have a cool magic. She just makes these little lizard fucking copies. She's got, like, this lamer version of Wall's weakness soldiers. She's got a weaker version of the Dorna Anum. And for a character you expect to, like, that's so smart, who should be high up on like an intelligence ladder of the verse, she's not important and she's not talked about. There's nothing about her that does anything other than like she was in this one part, and like later you can see her just quick bits in other episodes for like a glimpse. I'm very curious about Irene's body. Me too. Raisha Valentine, Lucy, Rebecca. I don't agree. Honestly, out of the three of them, well, she's Raisha, but it's the same thing. It's Ellie. I'd probably put Ellie last. Lucy, Rebecca, and then Ellie. Like, Ellie's cool, but Ellie was intentionally that damsel in distress type of character. But I think the problem there's like, I think Mishima didn't have as much of the general character bits. Because if you look at them, Rebecca is between Lucy and Ellie. It's like Lucy, way more capable, way more like had way more character stuff, way more of capabilities at this point in the story. There was just more to her. Whereas Rebecca has a good blend. She has a good amount, but I think she definitely deserves more. But I think that's happening this arc. I think she's definitely going to be getting some more with like how the Saint Fire Nox and the whole planet, the Planet Eater plan is going. But as of right now, I would definitely say I'll be surprised if she surpasses Lucy, considering Lucy is just outright one of Mishima's favorites, and he seems to favor her in the story, and not just as a, enjoying her existence as a writer. But it's like, Ellie is cool, but I mean, like, the amount of depth she got and the amount of scenes that she got, I don't think it's as good as Lucy's, and I think Rebecca is about at that spot where, if you look at the overall of Ellie, I think Rebecca's not far of being at a point of surpassing her. Natsu beating his third Dragon God, while Gray beats Fodder. I mean, Gray pretty much handled Sai pretty well, and it's not like Natsu beat Alderaan or Mersephobia by himself. And this is another spot where he's not beating him really by himself. But I don't think that Dogger Mag is gonna just, like, the second his locker or like Dogger cores are destroyed, that he's just gonna fall over. I still think my idea that he's gonna be set to his normal power and he's gonna have to fight as a dragon, and he's gonna be in his dragon state. And then it's like he's gonna be powerful, but he's not gonna be insurmountable. Because I think it would make sense if, like, Dogger Mag wanted to fight in a humanoid form. He wanted to have fun. He really wanted to just enjoy himself. But because of that, he didn't just crush them when he had the opportunity. Gets to the point where it's like, okay, I have to be serious. Gets serious, but it's at that point, like, the characters all team up. He's vulnerable to a degree, and it's like they're able just to have this big raid boss fight and defeat him. I think that would be amazing for this arc. Because if this arc, I think we need this arc. I think we need a couple more cool fights. I think Godjill needs a good scene. I think Godjill is definitely one of the ones who really needs a good fight. And I think Gray doesn't need, like, I don't think Gray needs to have a big fight now. Let me say this. If Mishima doesn't plan to have Skollion get back up and Gray fight and defeat Skollion, then I think what Mishima needs to do is have that big group fight where all these guys are teaming up against Dogger Mag in his dragon form, and instead of it being like a big fight scene for Gray gets just like some really cool spotlight moments. Like, imagine Dogger Mag comes down and tries to slam like a hand or like a claw, I guess, on somebody, but Gray is able just to use his ice. Like, imagine he used a shield with one hand, but he's just like the advancement of his magic or well-being in Juvia's body and stuff. He's able to just to kind of keep buffing it. So it's one of those scenes where it's like Gray puts up the shield, but it starts to crack because he can't hold it. But he's able just to keep adding ice onto it, just keeps adding onto it and making it stronger. And it's one of those things where it just shows, like, again, a really good scene for him. You know, something like that where it just gives Gray like a really good moment in a fight like that, to where it doesn't have to be, oh yeah, he beat some guy one-on-one. It's like, no, he just came in really clutch in this fight. He did something real beneficial and really helpful to everybody that's involved. That's what I would really like if we are going to get the Scullion fight. It'd be cool if we got Grand Magic games without dudes who are who are currently in Labyrinth. What? I don't know what you mean. So, Gray's been born with Year's Quest. Every other member of the cast has gotten something good. I mean, Gray's has been in with his character. Like, if you want to talk about his fighting stuff, yes, Gray hasn't gotten any like power upgrade, new things. I will agree to that, and I can understand that. But Gray definitely has gotten good character stuff. In terms of the general character content, I don't think anybody's gotten as much as Gray out of the main cast. Gray's gotten the most. He's gotten the most times where we've not been in some crazy life-threatening battle, but Gray's been in some form of situation where we've seen some insight into how his character is feeling, how he views the current scenario, his stuff with Juvia. We've gotten a lot of insight into Gray over 100 Years Quest. And, like, again, I understand the fighting aspect of it because it feels weird for everybody else to be getting bonuses and upgrades except for Gray. I definitely agree to that. I think that that's something that needs to really change. And I think, your comment from earlier, let me scroll up, I'll read it. I think Kimiko Toga would be interesting for next-gen antagonists, but her child and reason because they represent Izu and Toga's greatest failure, not saving Toga. Something like that would be cool. I think it'd be cool if, like, what if you had a character who was, like, imagine you had a child who ended up being revealed to be Toga's child, but she wanted to be a hero, but it's like one of those I'm trying to escape my parents' past and sins kind of thing. That would be really cool. Like, Toga could be a really cool character that builds up for the future, because Toga's still not at a spot where it's like her character, like, being related to her character would just be like outright like a death sentence. Like, if you were, oh, I'm Shigaraki's my dad or whatever, so it'd be like, what the fuck? Whereas, like, Toga is a problem, but Toga isn't so much of a, she's not one of those, like, living nuclear problem kinds of characters. She's like, oh yeah, this person was an issue, here's why, she was obviously sided with these guys, and, you know, what are we going to do from here? I could see that, but I don't see a spot otherwise where it's like, what, she's just going to be a next-gen villain, unless it's like, unless she's, like, trying to get revenge or something, but that'd be kind of weird. Why Gagio would defeat Kyria? Yeah, Gagio fighting Kyria I think would be weird. I don't even think they need to fight in general. Yeah, I read this one. I am going on versus battles, and someone ranked Amy Rose Universal level or some shit. I have no idea how Sonic comics are, but that sounds crazy. If Kyria can't beat Lucy, then she sure as hell isn't beating Gagio. Yeah, she's not. The thing is, like, it's not beating Lucy. If she can't beat a summoner at that level, she's not beating a Dragon Slayer at Gagio's level. Because if it was, it's not entirely comparable, because Gagio should be stronger than Lucy. By what degree right now, we don't know. I think Gagio should be a good amount stronger, but right now, at least, I don't think he's as crazy stronger that he should be. Hopefully, the next couple chapters, that'll change. But for now, I think Gagio, though, for her, is like a fight she would be more akin to. But at the same time, Gagio should outclass her, and I think she would get overwhelmed. Whereas, like, Lucy is at the power, like, ability-wise, Lucy was at the disadvantage. A melee fighter like that is the worst thing for a summoner, especially someone as durable as a Slayer Wizard. Do you think Natsu, Lucy, and Ignia could get something similar to what happened with Naruto, Hinata, and Pain? Maybe. I don't think, the thing is, like, I don't think Lucy, though, needs to die. I don't think it doesn't have to be a spot where it's like Lucy gets impaled and either she's dead and then gets revived somehow, or it's implied she's dead. I think Natsu will snap just seeing her harmed. I think at this point Natsu, because we know we know obviously Natsu and Lucy are going to be the thing. I think everybody knows that. Even Mishima, you know, he's pretty much just straight said it. And two, we know that Natsu's feelings for Lucy and like the feelings between them has been taken more note in 100 Years Quest. Not as much as the other ships, but I think that's intentional. So I think with Natsu, like any form of damage that he sees to Lucy is just gonna it's gonna be a red light thing. He's gonna just flip to see red, and he's gonna want to just go. He's gonna want to attack. Oh, there's just a stuff about the stuff with freaking Mahiri on Disney. Which Lucy came from an oral background and worked hard. Sakura is self-made. Lucy's self-made. Lucy doesn't really have anything that makes her like background special. The Heartphilias don't have any special bloodline or any like crazy blood power, because Lucy's earned everything. She's not just got like, oh yeah, I just woke up and was more powerful because of the Heartphilia blood. Layla was powerful and Anna were powerful, but neither of them, and nothing was ever implied that it had to do with their bloodline. It seems more of just they would be capable wizards that climb the line. Because there's no real points where Lucy gets big jumps. Like, any time where Lucy has gotten significantly stronger, it's been over things like time skips and training pieces. Second Origin and stuff like that. Like, it hasn't really been stuff like, oh yeah, Lucy is just stronger because she's a Heartphilia, you know, the ancient Heartphilia bloodline awakens or something. And you have any, yeah, you have really cool editing except for 40-minute videos. Well, hang on, sometimes my videos are long because I have a lot to talk about. And I think those, even though they're long, I think they're my favorite to do because I enjoy talking about what's going on. Like, this last chapter, there was so many things that I wanted to just kind of like look at and see the direction. And obviously the Gold Owl stuff, what's going on with God and Serena, it was extremely interesting, and it gives me something to really look at, like wrap my head around over these next, you know, chunk of time until we get to the new chapters. What is it now? It's not 2 weeks. What is it? 9 days? 10 days? Yeah, it's 10 days, and then we'll get to another chapter. Luffy versus Natsu. Natsu curb stomps Luffy. That's not even a fight anymore. Like, Luffy doesn't make the big... Luffy and One Piece in general doesn't make nearly as much of the big power jumps. Like, Fairy Tail, every major arc takes, like, a big another step forward in, like, how powerful characters being displayed are. Whereas One Piece, it's like you put Whitebeard out there, and then it's been filling in the gaps between what we knew and Whitebeard. And even the people now, like, Kaido was strong, but it's like, put Kaido against Acnologia, and it's just like, it's not even remotely close. And obviously Natsu isn't Acnologia level yet, but like, you know, put him down there, put him even closer, put him with Natsu. Natsu should still clap Kaido just fine. Man, want to be a Fairy Tail Pokédex? I mean, I guess. I just want to talk about stuff. It's not like Lucy is some natural genius. Yeah, Lucy doesn't have any of that. Like, there's, even with the fact that the Heartphilias, there's been powerful celestial spirit wizards in their bloodline. It's never been implied ever that it's like, oh, the Heartphilias are just natural celestial spirit magic, celestial spirit wizards. Like, they don't have this innate grasp on the magic. As far as we know, it's just something that people in their family have been doing. They pick it up and they start the journey. You could look at it as like maybe kind of like Kana, where it's like Lucy just has this massive untapped potential and this massive array for growth. But it's like Lucy has earned everything. She's worked, and she's been on the front lines, in the fights, in spots where she shouldn't have been, and still been able to pull victories, and then been able to pull herself through. So it's not like she just woke up stronger. Again, Dogramag steps on a Lego and dies from the pain. I hope not. No, they don't need any Legos. Natsu punching the innocent black man in the face while Sai misgenders Gray. I don't think those are accurate. What's up, Guillotine? How are you doing? Oh, Kenmano, thank you very much. Let me see. What did it say? Hold on. I got the notification. It came up, but it's not showing up there. Kenmano, for becoming a member for another 4 months, right? I think we need time. We need a villain tier list. I'll make a villain tier list. Didn't I already do that? I know I did. No, I think I did a cover tier list. I can make a villain tier list, but I thought I already did one. No, didn't I do one? Because I put Celine one step under, like, the top, because I think Celine had a lot of potential, but I guess Celine now is like not even a villain. She's shaping up to be a protagonist, sort of like a protagonist ally. I was thinking about doing all Spriggan tier, and then doing it as a power ranked one. What do you think about that, Kenmano? I thought that would be a really cool one, because then it's like I can put, you know, everybody knowledgeable, everybody who everybody who you would know knowledgeable enough through in this tier, and then kind of sort it out, kind of look at who's at the bottom, who's at the top. Dressrosa or Arc or Pain Arc? Oh, Pain Arc, 100%. What is this? Davin? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, Daphne. We're talking about the Daphne arc from right before Edelus. It's not a good arc. You don't want to watch that if you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, don't watch it. Edelus felt like a filler arc more than anything, to be honest. I mean, not more than the Daphne arc, but it definitely felt like an anime arc. Now I'm talking about villains in general. I can do that. I mean, I'll have to plan it and see what villains. Maybe do like a shonen villains. I mean, my boy Zerf's gonna be hyped. They'll put like Aizen in there, but we'll put like Pain and Madara. We'll put a couple fellas on there. Also, thank you for the 4-month subscription. I don't know if you know this. I did put a new thing for you. You got the Frosh badge for your membership. And I do need to update stuff. I do have plans. I still got a couple videos. Let me show you guys actually here. Let me show you this real quick. Let me show you this real quick because I have the thumbnail and the stuff I want to talk about for it, but I haven't gotten to the actual video yet. Is when I do I'm gonna do the Jalal versus Natsu video. Tell me your guys' opinions on this thumbnail I did for it. Or at least show you guys the thumbnail. What do you guys think of this? Think this one's cool? I wanted to have one that was just like, probably one of my favorite scenes of it. And this moment was crazy when Jalal goes up there to use up his break. Super hype. But yeah, tell me your guys' thoughts and opinions are on this one, because I want to get to that soon. Like I've said, I've been a little busy, but I'm about caught up. Well, I'm pretty much for the most part caught up. It's more of like now I just got to get my momentum back. I skipped the Daphne arc. Maybe mainly because of Daphne. I understand that. That sounds like a pretty logical thing. My gag ending for Zeref would be him slipping on a banana peel and drowning in a toilet. I don't know about that. Maybe he's like allergic to bees and he gets stung. Alvarez far worse than Edelus. I don't agree with that at all. How strong would Glocksney be in Fairy Tail? I'd probably put him in somewhere around like Jura, like that middle ground wizard saint. Maybe like where he starts to kind of like peer up a little bit from there. Because like Glocksney is not crazy. I don't think he's anywhere near Spriggan, but he's definitely powerful, and he's got a really good set of utility. Like he's got like healing, he's got minions, ranged, melee attacks, defense. He's got a really rounded moveset. I think Rebecca will be involved in the Ziggy being from the future. I would assume so, because the Cat Leaper stuff should obviously like explain that time shenanigans. My gagging for Doryu, he bangs his knee on a coffee table and gives up. He just says fuck this, stubs his toe. Alvarez has worse moments than Edelus. I don't agree with that. I think Edelus is not even close to as good as Alvarez. Because like Edelus, like the only like big hype parts are what like Urza versus Urza, and then defeating the door to Anim. Like the rest of the arc is really slow. Rogue only exists to orbit that himbo sting. Rogue's fine, but like the problem is like Rogue only works with like Sting and Rogue. I think only really work as a duo, but it's like when you have them both around, Rogue by his character isn't going to talk a lot, whereas Sting does talk. So it's like we would need to have something where we see a little bit more distinct. Oh, my headphones are starting to die. We'll go a little bit longer. I definitely want to catch up with the comments before I end this stream. I don't think Godule is so stronger than Lucy. It's just Gemini, which can appear from nowhere. Stardress. Well, I think Godule is stronger right now, but right now I don't think he's immensely stronger. I don't think he's so far out that Lucy would be able to fight him, but I think he needs to be further out than he is right now. I think he needs to be stronger. Lucy earned everything. She, you're talking about like her money though. Like when it comes to like money for her family, she didn't really use that. With her keys, it's not even like a money thing because she got that from her mom for the most part. She only really got Aquarius. We know that she obtained the rest. Actually, did she have cancer from her mom too? I don't remember if they ever mentioned where cancer came from. Because then her mom had Aquarius, Capricorn, and Taurus. Or no, Aquarius. Did she have Taurus? Oh my god. Like, specifics about Layla right now are going to bother me. But I know that she got Aquarius from her mom. That was the memento she got from her mother. And the anime shows, like, when she met Taurus. And then we know she got Sagittarius from Galuna Island. She got Virgo from Everloo. I don't think Cancer, though, was ever shown. I know we got Plu from the shop in the first chapter episode. Does she get any other, like, off keys? I think it's just revealing them as we go. Lucy hasn't got a key in a while, now that I think about it. His mother, hurt his mother and made her... Oh, wait, what are you talking about? I was talking about... Oh, Toga for the next generation? That she doesn't want bloodshed anymore? I don't think that. Like, she's too crazy. She's too far gone, man. I feel like she can't be that character. I feel like she's too insane. Wish Lucy would leave that man-child now. That's not a man-child. He's just goofy sometimes. Have you already made a Spriggan tier list? Didn't I make one? That was one on just the Spriggan, though. I want everybody in the whole tier. So including people like Lucy currently, including Greg, including, including Mimi, Hakune, characters like that. Why include Abyss Breaker, Jupiter? It wasn't successfully, but it was a hype scene. And this was like go watch the episode. The episode, I think, conveys the scene way more than the manga. And the music build up right when he's like, right when you have like the best dialogue between Natsu and Jalal, and then he casts Abyss Break, and then it's just getting ready for that. And this is right before Natsu goes and just fucking punches the color off him, man. Like, that was so hype. Good thumbnail, you like it? Okay, I'm gonna switch back to the other one. That way it doesn't save on this one. Because this one, I like thumbnails, and I really want to work on my I really like making thumbnails. It's one of my favorite things, like, think of a really cool thumbnail and it turns into a video. But I want to do that, and then while also, well, I lost my train of thought a little bit on that. But anyway, I just wanted to show that while I kind of like get stuff transitioned, and I want to spend a good amount of time really talking about the fights, because those ones will be way more just general discussions on the characters, and I'll probably. I might get to some of it soon. I might see if I can store the audio and then do editing and stuff later, or just kind of get to it. Because like I know for the most part the stuff I want to talk about, because everything is pretty confined within a well-set arc for, for the Tower of Heaven, for Natsu and Jalal's fight. I think Natsu face on the left is too cool. We don't like it? Man, I love that one. It looks so much more detailed in manga. How many series have you read and watched? I don't know. I still am thinking about doing a stream where we go to my anime list and we just make me a my anime list page and we see how many series I've actually read, and we just like, have I read this? Like, I'll put stuff I remember, and then you guys can ask me stuff and like, have you read this series? And I'll say yes or no, see if I've read it or not, put it on there. Fiona's in gold is surprisingly good. What? Vermeil? I don't know what you mean. Gaja's a hypocrite. He beat Lucy of Phantom Lord. That's not do not punch pregnant Levy. I think there's a difference between that and both character and the context of the scene. She got cancer from Spedo, Aquarius from Brandish's mom. Well, no, Aquarius. No, she got Aquarius from her mom. Aquarius. So what happened was, she gave Aquarius's key to Brandish's mom, but Brandish's mom later brought it back. Who Lucy got it? Who then later gave it to Lucy, because Lucy even says that Aquarius was the memento from her mother. But Layla didn't want to go take it at the time because she just didn't want to go take something she already gave away. So she used part of her life force in order to do that, right? Spedo though, was Spedo the old guy, right? Spedo was one of the old people that worked with him. Let me see, because I was like, I'm trying to remember, like, where exactly did she get cancer from? Because cancer's like one of the most low key of all the spirits. Like, he never really gets to do much. Yeah, she gave okay, you're right on that one. She gave cancer to her, but like, Lucy shouldn't have gotten it from what was Brandish's mom's name? Crap. It's gonna bother me. I know she had like one of those names that I think Mishima just made up like in the last 15 minutes. Because her name is just, it's like one of those ones where it's just close to Brandish, but it's not that far off. It's just enough. Let's see. Let's just go to Layla and see, Layla's relationships. Wait, what? Who is this? Hold on. What? I'm so confused. In the I don't know if I'm forgetting something, but it's there's like a thing on the wiki, and it's of Imitatia, but her name was Michelle, but it's like listed on the wiki her name was Gonzalez. Why? Is there something I'm forgetting? Oh, whose real name was Gonzalez. Okay. See, I don't even remember that part. Why Gonzalez? I'm not gonna ask. Stuff like that, I'll just take it as like, oh cool, I learned something that I missed and somehow never noticed this minute random detail. I completely forgot about, like, well no, I don't even think I ever noticed it was supposed to be her name. I thought her name was Michelle the whole time. I think it's just because I've watched that like when it comes to the other arcs, I've gone through like the manga arcs multiple times. I've gone through the anime versions of the arcs multiple times, but it's the Starry Sky and the Eclipse arc I've only gone through like a few times, and it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know. I think part of it also is like I don't even really refer to the Erasion Seis as their real names a lot of the time. It's still Cobra, Midnight, Racer, Hot Eye, even the other ones. Like I still call her Imitatia. I wouldn't even call her Michelle if I saw a picture of her. It's like, oh, it's Imitatia. So Gonzalez is definitely surprising to me. Cool. This is actually, I like this. This was a documented thing of me finding some small thing that I hadn't remembered or never took notice of. I'll take it as I just didn't notice it when it came out, so I didn't know it. It was good to see some moments with Anna. I supposed to be the strongest celestial spirit. Maybe in a flashback we'll get Anna at some point. She didn't really do much. Well, she didn't have any of the keys, so it's kind of like Anna was like hyped, but we couldn't have seen her do anything unless she had a key. According to Machine Twitter, Ichiya smashed Anna. I believe it. Ichiya's Chad. Do you think Overhaul will be relevant in the show? No. Ichiya so far out of his league. Ichiya's a charmer. Clearly it was working for him. Layla with the Aquarius key back right. Brenish's mom just didn't get back in time for the Eclipse door to be open. Yeah, she had to substitute some of her life force. Jalal canonically hottest male since Sigreen was the best boyfriend in the Weekly Sorcerer. Yeah, he was won some stuff. Grammy, I think. Was it something like that easily? I thought it was like Brammy or something. Like I could have sworn it was something like weirder. So like you look at it and you're just like, oh yeah, he probably didn't turn in the name on time. He like wrote last minute, just changed a few letters on Branish's name. Was something like that? Yeah, it was Grammy. Man, I was wrong on that too. Man, Branish's mom. I'm sorry, Branish's mom. I remember your dog. You know what? I think it's because Mishima was going with Brandy whenever he calls it, and I just went with Grammy, and so it throws off. I'm surprised her name isn't Gramish. Orihime and Kid Hinata Naruto versus Cosmos. Probably Cosmos. Because like Hinata as a kid can't really do anything. Erasion Seis names are stupid. I like the Erasion Seis names. I like the widespread of names. I'm a huge fan of when I love series where the names aren't set in one style. And it's like Toriko, Fairy Tail, One Piece, Black Clovers to a degree. I really like it when there's no restriction on names. And it's not every character is going to be German or Japanese or old European. I like it when a character's name can be fucking anything. This character's name could be Teapot for all you know, and he could be a badass. Have you ever considered doing a recommended series? Like if you've read and watched something, maybe you'd recommend a series personally. I think it'd be cool. I'll do that eventually. Eventually I want to try out doing if I ever get to like watch stuff, if I ever open up the Patreon and do like watch content, because I actually don't watch a lot of the animes. I read manga, but usually when I watch an anime, it's a manga I've already read. So there's a lot of series I think that would be fun and for people to vote on for me to go through if I haven't seen. Eventually I'll get to that point. I was talking about Quan about this. There are two things I need. I need a green screen, and I need to go outside and get some color back so I don't look like a ghost. My paleness. I'll give some small racks in. I'm a little pale, but because of my normal complexion and my the facial structures of genetics. A lot of people think I'm some form of Hispanic, but it's not. It's just because I've lost some shade, some form of like some fright. It's like a inside doesn't go outside style. Like people would think that I'm a shut in like Hispanic a lot of the time. No. A little bit of Raxler I'll give you guys since I've been enjoying the stream. Gonzalez is Lucy's doll, right? Starry Sky Arc was kind of ass. I don't think it was ass. The thing about the Starry Sky Arc is the story was good. I think there wasn't just really any good fights, like any real big fights. Because there are a couple cool skirmishes. Like Mirajang gets two really good battles in there, but there's no fights that come out of either of the anime filler arcs that make it like really fun. The thing about the Starry Sky arc and the Eclipse Spirit arc is that they enhance the arcs that come after them. The whole thing at the Grand Magic Games is a better arc if you watch the Starry Sky arc, because it builds on what was going on between the Celestial Spirits, and it really builds up into like the importance of Celestial Spirit magic. With the Starry Sky arc, it really does a lot building up into that tension that gets Tartaros and loses connection to her keys and stuff. Whereas Daphne has nothing. Daphne doesn't do anything. Doesn't do anything for anybody. Zootopia arc, even worse than Spade arc. I don't agree with that at all. Well, I guess if you compare them all, like the Spade arc has way better highs, but I don't think the Starry Sky arc has any parts that were nearly as controversial as like what the Spade arc has. Blue Pegasus is the most useful and helpful guild in the series. Yeah, they're a super good support group. The male Ichiya versus the virgin Sigma male. Ichiya is badass, dude. He gets chicks. It'd be cool if Zoldio had his own child, and could have Lucy Brandish and Zoldio child. No, that'd be a little strange. Eric was so cold when he was introduced, and he beat Urza, and yet he's the weakest of the Dragon Slayers. I don't think he's not weaker than Sting or Rogue alone. But the thing about Sting and Rogue is Sting and Rogue are best as a duo, so it's really hard to compare Cobra to them. And if you put Cobra and Wendy in a straight fight, actually no, because Wendy can cure pretty much anything he does. So maybe like if you put Cobra 1-on-1 with Sting and Rogue, I think he can take either of them 1-on-1. I don't think he can take either of them. I don't think he can take them together, but I don't think anybody's expecting him to. Oh yeah, I'm gonna put my headphones on the charger because they died. I guess I don't really need my headphones as long as I have my mic. I'll just keep talking to you guys. You're not even white. How can you be pale, dude? You can lose complexion. Like, just don't go outside. Like, it's not hard. Like, let me give you a timeline of events. I'll give a little bit more Rex lore. So I was already like a guy who didn't go outside. I went to boot camp, and then like I went somewhere. Like when I went to boot camp for the military, it was already winter. Like it was kind of like coming out of winter, so it was already cold and cloudy. And then I went somewhere to where like the winters were long and cold and dark. And then I went in the submarine for years to where there was no sunlight. And then I came out, and it's like I get sometimes sun, but I do really want to get a little bit of shade back, because I'm not like a dark guy. You're not gonna look at me and think I'm a fucking Mongolian or a Cuban, but it's like, oh, that guy's probably got something. He's a little shaded. Like I'd be at that. I'd be at that stage, and I guess if you want to go interrogate people on the street that fit this description to find out if they're me, it's that where it's like you'd see a guy's a little pale, but you'd be like, oh, there's something in there, and then his gene pool. There's something in there that he shouldn't be so pale. But yeah, I don't like to go outside a lot of the time. You could do it with manga too. It's on the list. Like I said, there's some stuff I really want to do. Cause I can't do anything like Patreon. I don't know if I'm gonna do Patreon, because if like I'd like to do it for the channel. I'd probably just do it on YouTube, unless YouTube's. I don't know exactly all of YouTube's rules for free action. I think it's fine as long as I have it transformative enough. So it's like if I cut like those little jumps and like maybe in like episodes, or I blur it sometimes and just kind of like do enough dialogue, I can talk enough. Then I can probably do something like that eventually. When I'll do a face reveal, and we'll get to that. Because like I thought about it, because it's just one of the reasons I want to do, and maybe one day we'll do if there's like a fundraiser for me to do it, because I want a green screen. I really want to have a green screen if I ever do content with my face. I want a green screen. So like I think I could get one for like I think they're like $130 or something. So there'd be like, I would have like one of those GoFundMe's, and it'd be like a couple $100, and it would just be like I need funding for I need funding to get some suntan lotion, and to get a green screen, and I guess a camera for the computer. If you guys can ever fund enough of that, then sure. It'd be like a couple $100, but one day we'll do one of those. I know, like, what was it, Josuke? I know he did one because like his computer broke, and that was really nice that like his fan base was able to hype that up. and get that to him. This isn't the same situation, but it's like this is a different kind of group event. We'll see. Maybe one day we'll put it on a poll. Don't think it would be Larcade again. Now Larcade should be dead. Wendy and Irene versus Laxus. Wendy with Irene versus Laxus. Well, I mean Wendy should still get overpowered right now, but it's like once we get to a point where I think Wendy can really kind of like have the latent potential she has and a higher grasp on her enchanting, I think she'll. It's like hard to say because like Laxus should just be so much more powerful, but Wendy has that latent potential, but also she just has a massive, really flexible moveset. Let me see. I hope we get more yokai girls in Fairy Tail. Maybe if they ever come back. Do you think Selena's gonna be killed off soon? No. Jericho, bad Lancelot cock. I mean, she's not gonna get any at this point. Do you think Zentopia over Spade? I don't think Zentopia is over Spade, but I think the overall arc was more sound. Like, there's not. The thing about the Spade arc is the Spade arc has a lot of things that I think are questionable in the format of it. Like the fact we had Morris. Morris showed up, just got defeated really fast, and we didn't get anything. We didn't get anything with Mars. Like Mars didn't get any form of display. Like when you think that he would show up with Morris as an antagonist, but nothing. Things like that, where it's like these small bits that were really weird for the arc, like Vonica just being a puppet. Dante, even though the fight with Magna was cool, it's like Dante just kind of got defeated and shoved off screen, and we didn't get to see him again when he was the guy hyped up, like as the bigger opponent in this arc. With Lucifaro was like the biggest threat, but like Dante was like the big face of the enemies at the time. And then he just kind of got brushed under the rug, and then we didn't get to see him really at all, other than getting off screen by Jack. The Spade arc, I think, the Spade arc has better hives, obviously, but I think it has more. It has more parts where it's like a little shaky, and you're like, why isn't this happening? Okay. Let me catch up on some of these comments. We're edging into the later portions of the stream. I just know Mishima needs to step it up with Diablos and not waste their potential. So Diablos has been overall fine. The thing is, like, what Machine. Well, I think they've been more than overall fine. The problem right now is just, like, very specific members haven't been utilized this arc, which I would definitely agree to. The thing that I think Mishima needs to do, and I think it's the problem right now, is that it seems like none of them are really doing anything. I would really like it if, again, Scully and Madmal got back up. They did something. Kiri got back up, helped Lucy. Kieran wanted to get a rematch with Laxus, or he wants to help Laxus so they can get the rematch. Haku helps Wendy. We need just to see them active to where they're not just going to be forgotten about. I think is the important thing right now with Diablos. And if we do get that big dragon fight, all of them against dragon form Dogromag, I think that'd be perfect. How do you think a villain Deku series would go? I would have loved it to see Deku as a villain, because like Deku's smart, and Deku's analytical skills on like just watching heroes and like learning about their abilities and their traits and just how they operate, I think would have made him a really formidable and like threatening villain. Can't you be in affiliate marketing? I'm sure your viewers will get money from that. Can't you do affiliate marketing? I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do any like additional stuff like that. Like I've never looked into it, but I don't know like what the steps are. I only recently started to try and set up the membership, but I got swamped like when I started to kind of get into it, and I'm now getting to a point where I can kind of like get a better grasp on what I'm doing. I really just like one thing I really want to do is I just want to get like the format of my videos down. I think the red space between time background is good, but I kind of want to do something a little different with it. I mean, I'm not too sure what yet. So we'll see. I don't see Diablos and Team Natsu rematch. I think for certain of them there's a rematch there. I don't think for all of them. Like I don't think Kiri versus Lucy is gonna have to happen again. I don't think Haku and Wendy's gonna happen. I don't think Natsu and Suzaku is gonna. But the very specific ones, I think Kieran, Misaki and Scullion are the ones that likely would have a rematch. If there was going to be a rematch with them. Gray more so, I think, than everybody else. Gray and Kieran, I think, more so than anybody else. Misaki definitely last. Black Scarf Natsu and Tanner on looked cool as hell. I was actually talking to someone about that, and she liked it too. The Gold Owl Guild could even be more tight to Viernes. That's a strong possibility, though I'm wondering if it's... I'm very curious if it's going to be Natsu goes with Diablos for training, Gray goes with Gold Owl for training. Because it's like, okay, cool, a top wizard guild of this continent focused on dragon slaying, and then you have an alchemist guild with Gray now interacting with him, which maybe that'll be what goes on for Gray. I don't want to see Miss Kyria interact with Lucy anymore. I think I want to see them interact, but I wanted to see at a point where like Kyria respects Lucy enough to where she's not going to talk down to her, and we just see some good general interactions between the two of them. But anyway, other than that, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Like I said, I'm still gonna try and work on content for the channel. I've been trying to kind of get back into things. I'm probably gonna put out my chapter predictions, I think tomorrow, because there's no Shonen Jump tomorrow, right? Let me double check. I don't think there's chapters tomorrow. Yeah, so I'll put out my predictions for the next 100 Years Quest chapter out tomorrow, and we'll get to, start moving towards some of the other videos. Because there's some stuff I really want to do. Like, I really want to do a video on Faust. Like, I recently watched Edalus, and like, that Edalus itself, like I said, isn't a great arc, but I actually like Faust. I think Faust is an interesting bad guy. Not as much as Hades or Zero, but, well, and Zero in his own way. I think they're comparable on, like, the level of what they kind of have going on, where it's like Hades is way better than, obviously, Zero. But anyway, other than that, comment below. Tell me your guys' thoughts are on, on what's going on with God Serena, and where you think things are going to go. The whole revival thing, obviously, is super strange. But other than that, comment, like I said, thumbs up video, friend, like button, subscribe button, and other than that, it'll be good.